All right, welcome everybody today. We're going to be talking with Gaetan today about, the struggles that he had as far as, working so many hours, really for so little return. We're going to be talking about how Gaetan, really had a shift in mindset and how he looked at his contracting business to get the amazing results that he got. I mean, Gaetan went from $2 million to $2.8 million, from 10K in net profit to 468K in net profit, and all along not having to go and increase his crews. So there's a lot of things that Gaetan had to do, and today we're going to get into going behind the scenes on what Gaetan did to allow that to happen. Because I'm Andrew Houston from Profit for Contractors, and what we do is help contractors become more profitable. But really what we do is help contractors get their business to pay profitably for their freedom, okay? Helping them get their business to run without them, giving them the systems and the tools and really the insights to look at their business the way they need to take it to the next level. So welcome, Gaetan. Thanks for coming on today's call and being willing to go behind the scenes to share what you did to get those kind of results. So tell us a little bit about yourself, my man.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, everyone. Tell about myself. I'm a contractor in the Ottawa area. My father started this business in '74, and I took over in 2004. And
Wow.
Lots of things happened with the evolution of today's society. So this is where you came in, Andrew, part of our team, and we grew like big time.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. So let's get into some of these things as far as where you were and where you came from. So let's talk a little bit about, before we get into like what were some of the things that you did. Let's talk about some of the struggles, some of the problems and challenges that you had that I think a lot of contractors listening to this can relate to. So what were some of the things that you were challenged with, that made you want to do something about it?
Yeah, our biggest challenge was pretty much our existing customers back then. They were longtime customers from my father. I even grew up working for him on the summer jobs and all that. And those customers were always, part of Paul Courier installation history. And once I took over in 2004, this is where I realized a lot of those customers were they were all special and unique, each of them. And what I say is, when I say unique, is, well, some of them weren't paying like they should be paying. Some was disrespectful with our team. They were considered as a Class D, and this is where you came from, Andrew, and you were opening my eyes when I was seeing the difference between a Class A versus a Class D.
Yeah, and we'll get into that, this is awesome. So let's get a little bit more into the effects, right? So these Class Ds, for those of you that don't know, we have a Profit for Contractors. Those that are part of our family, I call it, of fellow contractors. Class decline is basically deadbeat. So that means a lot of bad things. But instead of me telling you what it means, maybe we can get Gaetan to elaborate, your opinion on Class D. So I'll just maybe help break it down. So let's talk about, I don't know, something that's not major, which is major. Let's talk about payment terms. Let's talk about how they respected you and your money. Let's talk about that. Some of the struggles you had on that front.
Well, for the pay, well, once the job was completed, we always invoice once the job is complete. Sometimes those Class Ds took forever for us to complete. They were always trying to haul me off on the little, maybe 2% of the job, because they knew that I always invoiced once everything is complete 100%.
Yeah.
So instead of completing right now, they were, pulling it off. And that being said, once it's invoiced, this is where not 30 days and even not 60 days, but it was like over 90 days of waiting period to get paid. And this was brutal. And we had so much little customers that's class A's that were paying good. And thank God they were paying, because we were at least surviving in all this struggles.
Yeah, for sure. I remember you saying to me one time, and you're pretty emotional about it, which I think a lot of people listening in can relate to. I mean, cash is the gas, right? If you don't have cash in your business, no matter how good of a job you did, and we'll get into that as well, no matter how attentive you were to their schedules, always working around there, putting out their fires. Hey, I need you right now. And you're like, what are you talking about? Or showing up at job sites and freaking the job site's not even ready for you. But on the cash side, I remember you saying, Andrew, freaking once we started doing an analysis and using some of the templates and tools that we went through, I remember you saying, man, these guys are treating us like a bank. Remember that?
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable how they did that. They were using us, and they were using all kinds of excuses like, Gaetan, we didn't have the cash release from our bank, and you're the insulation, so you're right in the middle, right? So we have to pay a foundation, we have to pay those framers and plumbers, but the cash is there. Don't worry. That's the number one phrase. We've been dealing with your father for ages. They were playing with the emotions.
Yes, totally. And the funny thing is, I bet you that's the same story they were telling to the framers, to the electricians, to the plumbers. Oh, your trade finishes about this stage, and so we can't pay you. And yeah, totally. Like, let's call bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The BS. Yeah.
Yeah, the BS. That's right. The BS. So, when you look at that, these guys, were treating you like a bank. And beyond that, let's talk about these class D clients that were never happy. Like, it seemed like no matter what you did, like literally, no matter what you did, coming in on the weekends, paying your guys to work overtime, all the rest of this. Tell us a little bit about that, like how you could never please them.
Well, yeah. So some people are saying, well, listen, I scheduled my drywall for Monday, and I need you to be finished at least for Friday, because we need an inspection for insulation, right? So that being said, not that they were requesting, can you put more hours, but by putting it that way, they were giving me a challenge by saying, oh my God, I cannot displease those customers. So, I was looking to the guys, asking them, could we work extra hours? I remember paying them some lunch or dinners just to, motivate my guys. But that's always money, right? And that's not what the customer.
Totally.
And it's hard. It was hard, but we did it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into what some of the things that you did to get beyond those challenges. But again, let's even address some additional challenges that you had on the forefront of these guys. It was all about when you'd go and do a quote, tell us about the hours you would spend.
Oh my God.
These guys.
It's unbelievable when they were sending let's say a set of plans, and you're working, and the deadline is always very, very short. And you need like over, I don't know, it depends on the plans. Let's say if you needed 10 hours of work just to do the takeoffs, and I was doing my own takeoffs as well. So working with my tools, managing some employees, and finding more hours just to make a takeoff, because they were giving me a deadline so ridiculously. I mean, I was putting numbers like fast, and hope to God that I put the right numbers in there. And we weren't losing our shirt. So
and then at the end of the day, after all that work, they're all just focused in on the bottom line price. And I remember you saying that they'd come back, to you going, oh, your competition is this low, and you'd be like, Coach, I don't know how they're possibly quoting this low. And the result was that they were quoting
they were not quoting apples with apples. Like they were, it's not the same thing. Or again, it was all kinds of BS because us here, the competitions, we were just trying to fight to know who's going to win it. And no, it's a total different game right now. But
even some of those competitors that were going up against you, I said, Gaetan, they're going in, because we put together a pricing for profits process for you to make sure that you knew exactly how to quote profitably, right? Right. And I think one of the things is that, once you started realizing that there's no way that they were quoting those jobs profitably, they're either just buying those jobs or they didn't know what they're doing. I said, Gaetan, give it time. And I know it's sad, but those guys aren't going to last. And I mean, tell me about that. Were there contractors that went under around you because of that?
Oh yeah, they went under. And when I say under, they even they shut their business because they couldn't manage, they couldn't do it. And the ones that closed their business, that's the ones they tried. They just started the business maybe 2-3 years, and because they wanted to be aggressive and prove a point out there. But we were solid since '74, so maybe that's why one little reason why it helped, because I had a good solid background. Like the trucks were already paid. There was lots of stuff that I didn't need to pay, right? So that's probably one little reason why we still there.
Which is a bit of luck, right? Which is a bit of like, let's face it, right? Once we started doing the analysis and you're like, well, coach, I'm not going to be able to get these jobs the way that we're now pricing to make sure we're profitable. And I said, well, Gaetan, right? You remember that mindset shift. It wasn't about just getting work. It was getting profitable work. And we had to make changes, right? I mean, what was one of the mindset shifts? When we talked about, when we first started, it was like, I need more sales. And I had said to you, it's actually not necessarily more sales. You need more profits.
Need more profits, yes. And I remember I think one of our first strategy was a strategic alliances with other contractors. That was one thing.
Which is huge. So tell us a little bit about the effects, the stresses that these clients had, wanting you to price below your profits, wanting you to beg and borrow and basically be their bank. Like, tell us about the stresses that brought home. When you'd come home, I remember you said, your kids would say, hey, Dad, how was your day?
Well, I couldn't answer that. So instead of answering how was my day, I was just stressed. I was just maybe punishing them for anything. I don't have nothing that comes in mind right now, but it's the stress that I give to my wife, to my children, and I'm ashamed to say it, but it's a fact. I was yelling at them for nothing. Right. Today I realize that. Not back then, because when you're so stressed, overloaded, it's just your mind that's controlling all of you. And it's that you're saying that you're okay, you're finished. When you're punching in, but you never know when you're punching out. But in my head was saying, I leave the office, I'm going back home. That means I'm punching out, but I wasn't doing that. And that was hard on the family, a very, very hard period.
And that's not what your intention was, right? I mean, no. You didn't want to be that. You didn't want to be that person. I remember you saying that to me, but the stresses from the business just, it's almost like you couldn't cleanse yourself of it. It just became too much, It
became too much, but you don't realize it
because it creeps up on you, right?
Yeah. It's just one thing on another thing. And it's always, like you say, Andrew, it's mindset. You really need to stay focused and just look above the line and start taking action. And this is where you realize, and you wake up and you're looking in the mirror and saying, oh my God, this is no, that's not acceptable.
I remember going through that with you, above and below the line, right? Below the line is blame, excuses, and denial. And above the line is, ownership, accountability, and, responsibility. I remember you actually taking that and putting that
right in front of it. And it's still at my desk. I took it. It's on the 8x11 paper right in front of me. And it's something that you have to look at it each day.
Totally.
And try to understand.
Actually put it right beside your plan as well, right? So that when you're when we were laying out a game plan, we'll get into some of these other limiting beliefs in just a second, but when you were challenged with, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I remember you saying, I'd look at that and go, I gotta take ownership, I gotta be accountable, and I gotta be responsible.
Yep.
And that would, get you to go to that next level, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
awesome.
And it's important to precise what I did also is to put that I found, well, I think you're the one that shared it to us once back then. It's an iceberg photo.
Yes.
And what I did, I enlarged it and I put it down there with, so all my employees sees it. Admin, production, at least they see it. Some people ask questions, but some they just say, oh. But the people that ask questions, this is where I teaches them what I've learned from you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's really what you're talking about right now is that there's the tactics side of it. Again, we're going to get touching on, but there's also, a big part of this is mindset shift. And you're the leader, right? You have to build that leadership starting with you.
Yep.
And part of that leadership is also understanding that there's a culture, there's an environment, right? Remember that iceberg and what surrounds it is the environment. If you come to work and you let these Class D clients in, right? If you're not quoting profitably, if you're not getting control of your cash flow, that's affecting all your employees. And let's talk about that for a second. I mean, when your employees had to work with these Class D clients on the job sites, I mean, I remember you mentioning to me that you lost some guys.
Yeah, we lost, I would say, 15 to 20% of the good guys. And that's a lot. It doesn't seem a lot, but it is a lot because when you have good key guys, it takes effect. And the way that we were losing them, it's because they were stressed. Because when they were working and I wasn't always there. I always had a leader. And when those customers, Class Ds, they were coming in the house, they were putting stress on my employees. And I didn't know that. And the employees, of course, they don't want to share that with their boss or their leader, Mm-hmm. So they were just trying to, we have to do our best. We told Gaetan, they told me that they could do the job and we'll try to treat your customers very good because this is what we have to do, right? Treat our customers.
Right. That's right. So I think one of the mindset shifts that for everybody listening is, and this is one of the beliefs at the, here at the family of Profit Contractors is we don't believe that everybody should be treated the same. And I think, let's talk a little bit about that with you and your father, Gaetan. I mean, you were told that, a customer is a customer. You got to service everybody. Tell us a little bit about what had the shift in that mindset. Well,
of course, when I took over, I took what my father left. And my mindset at the beginning was, I need to honor my father. I need to make this working like he was doing it. Mm-hmm. Of course, over the years we did that, but thank God you were there because otherwise my father was kind of it's hard for me to say it, but he believes in me, but he always trained me. And the way he trained me was do it his way. Hmm. And his way was, for all those years, for him, it was the right way. But
and what did that mean? Tell us about what that meant as far as clients, and tell us a little bit about what that meant on the family front too. As far as
a customer is really important. And don't take me wrong, it is today, of course it is important, but every customer, like a Class A, a Class D, everyone is important, especially if they've been around for ages. Who cares how the customer's attitudes are? They're the one that's bring the bread on the table. They're the one that pays the bills. That's what he was saying. And that's what I had in my head. So we really need to treat each customers like like gold, because they're the reason why we're in business.
But
That's
what was the wrong mindset of that? Because there's some
well,
people that were thieves. They were actually stealing money from you.
yeah, well, that's it. My father was always one guy, one man show. He was a boss.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to go there, but I think everyone saw what's a boss versus a leader. So he's the one that had control. He's the one that's telling the guys what to do. You have to do this, because the customers were rough on him, so he was rough on us.
More dictatorship versus leadership, right?
That's right.
Do this now. So, I mean, your mindset shifted, right? I mean, you realized throughout the process, and it was a lot more than just the class, filtering fast. That's one of the processes that we use is, guys, you've got to filter fast. So we put a process in, right, Gaetan, right from the beginning, from the first phone call, to filter out Class D clients. You put in a questionnaire to make sure that, and it wasn't you delegated that. We actually hired a person beyond just the admin person to actually do the quoting for you, and we trained them properly, correct?
Correct. And we worked on that so much hard that for me to be able to do that and to achieve what we were working together, I had to make a big step, a big decision. This is where I step out. I need to precise that my office was in my father's house. It was a little small area, but this is where the bird flew out of his nest. And this is where it all started, is by building big offices right beside our shop, still at my father's location, but beside the shop, independently out of his house. And this is where we hired a sysadmin. This is where I hired a takeoff guy, an estimator, and
salesperson.
Salesperson.
Yeah.
And that lift a lot of my shoulders.
Yeah, totally.
Just to have those key person here at the shop.
Totally. Now let's just preface this. When you went from 10K roughly net profit to $480 some thousand in net profit, okay, and only going from 2 million to 2.8 million, okay. And a profit for contractors, it's all about, we talked to our family about this, the PFC members, is you got to get your business to pay for your freedom. So you had the profits to pay to hire people. You had the profits to put these systems in place, right? Right. We don't need to mention it, but we went out and you were able to buy a software system. We were able to get the right, hire the right bookkeeper and accounting company to generate the right financials. You were able to pay for this building because you were profitable. If you weren't profitable, you wouldn't have been able to pay for that freedom.
No,
is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So that's why when we were getting bigger and bigger, this is where the sales were just creating, and this is where slowly we were able to detect our Class Ds. So this is where we worked on it, and I realized that, oh my God, I created the buckets. So we got the bucket A, B, C, D, and this is where we put the D's in the D's and the A's with the A's, and slowly the D's were just bye-bye.
Well, we actually fired them, right? We got rid of them.
Yeah, right? That's right.
So you're talking I remember going back, you were saying like, man, it would go, if within a very short period of time, we're like, oh my God, Andrew, I'm saving like 5 hours a week now. And then, a few weeks later, I'm saving like 10 hours a week, now 15, now 20. And it is because you were able to spend time with the right people. Okay.
That's right.
And that was the other thing, right? The squeaky wheel was getting all the oil, and that was all these freaking people that were not the right Class D clients, and your Class A clients were not getting the attention. Correct?
Correct. Yep.
So, just before we move on, and we're going to wrap things up here in just 5 minutes or so, is when you look at the way that your dad looked at things, right? I mean, your dad was a hardworking man, he had the right intentions, but really part of the mindset that people have is that you have to keep on putting in more and more and more hours to solve the problem. And that took a lot of time away from your kids. And tell us a little bit about your experience, I mean, you worked for your dad, and sort of the same thing was actually, that same curse was being passed on to you and to your kids. And tell us a little bit about that change that you came to be aware of.
Well, it's basically, all the wins, all the numbers.
Let's talk about, you said to me, I remember you saying to me that, your dad wasn't there for you, on the personal side. It was work. Work was like everything, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, this is hard to say. This is where I realized that he wasn't there for me when I was young. And the same thing, what I was doing with my own family. So it's, I realized that now, well, not just now, it's been a while, but still, I'm grateful that right now my father is realizing what he missed with me, because today I'm grateful that at least he's taking time with my own kids. So
if you were to give advice to, I really appreciate you sharing this personal aspect, because I think a lot of contractors feel alone with this. You know what I mean? They really do feel alone, even if they're not taking over a business, right? That they're sacrificing time away from their kids. So, like, what was the mindset shift that you had to have or what would you tell another contractor listening to this to go, you got to look at things a little bit differently?
Yeah, well, the only thing is don't waste a day, because the day passed so fast. It's important to really think about yourself and your own family, and try to put your priority at the good place. And this is really important. And what I've done recently is when me and you, Andrew, when we pull out the numbers and when we saw the 2.8 million, and one of my goal was to share that to my father. So things help a lot, because on the really same day at the night, I asked my father, do you have like 10 minutes? I need to show you this. And he said, sure. And he came, and I just show him the numbers, and he sort of, I was talking, and he said one thing. He didn't say anything. I mean, he just put his finger and says, 1 minute. And he was concentrating on those papers. And the only thing, he had a couple of questions. So I had the answers, because the papers, the numbers are showing on the papers, right? So I explained to him this on his questions, and he gave me the 2 thumbs up. And he says, wow, I mean, he says, this is unbelievable. He said he waited so long to see something, and he saw the evolution I was doing since 2004, but he didn't saw on the paper exactly like he did on that night. And he gave me the 2 thumbs up and a big hug.
Yeah. So it's a moment that you'll never forget, right? You said to me, I wish I could just
filmed it. I could have filmed it.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? That's amazing, right? So it goes, if you heard a contractor say, you know what, because one of the very first things that we did was, and there was another contractor, Yvon, right, that we were Proffer Contractors was helping, and he mentioned me to you, and you're like, okay. And I know you delayed to engage, but if a contractor said to you right now, and they're watching this, and there's an opportunity for them to have a conversation. That same calibration call that we had to calibrate and look at what was going on. They said, Gaetan, I don't have time. What would you say to them?
Defaulted on calendar, make the time.
Why would you say make the time? Like, 'cause you hear that. You said that to me, right?
I know it's unbelievable, but it does save you time in the long run. Just take that 30 seconds or that minute. I don't care how you do it.
It was only like a month, maybe a month and a half when we got rid of some of these people, when we started quoting properly. Okay, we didn't solve everything, but you were already within 6 weeks going, I've got like 5 to 10 hours of back, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's unbelievable when
your
you realize
whiteboard's up on the wall so that those sales were getting dropped, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff, getting it out of your head.
Yeah.
Right.
So
you tell them what? Take the time.
Yeah, take the time. Just
take the 15 minutes to have a chat and see if or how we can help you.
Yeah, and even if you don't see it right away, like within the week, sometimes at the beginning I was like that. I couldn't see a week. I couldn't even see 2 weeks. I was fully booked. But after 2 weeks, this is where, oh yeah, we have some spot. Insert it right now. Just put an hour, because that hour will end up maybe 30 minutes in your busy life. And that's realistic, because you're so busy. Book a big hour, because it's going to take 15 minutes. Because that hour sometimes, I forgot. Yeah, I could try to squeeze and modify, because there's always curveballs. But at least you'll have that 15 minutes just to take action and really default it and work on a strategic plan. Because it's unbelievable how it changed on me.
Now, one of the other things I think we got to talk about before we start wrapping things up here is one of the things was trying to keep all this to yourself, right? This whole pride thing of not sharing. And then when you started to engage with other clients, whether it was Yvon or the group, the community, I mean, now the community at Profit Contractors is much, much larger than it was like even 12 months ago. But tell us a little bit about that, like how good it feels not to be alone, that you can actually reach out for help, from other contractors.
Well, it feels great. I mean, it's because we don't all have the answers, and sometimes we don't realize that by seeing the other people or just looking at what they're sharing, and sometimes hey, I have that problem too. Hey, that situation is or that situation, I used to have it, and I got the answer to that. I could help them, and I feel good. It feels great to be able to help actually someone. And sometimes it's so, not that because I want it to be funny, but it is funny to see that, oh my God, he's struggling the same way as I did. And holy geez, it's so easy. Now it's easy, because it was hard for me, but now it's easy. So if I could help you, oh my God, of course I'm going to share it.
You're awesome. You're like, seriously, it's having hundreds of people like yourself, right? I mean, here you are, you went from 2 million to 2.8, and it doesn't matter what size of contractor or type. Would you agree? I mean,
it doesn't. Just the fact that you're moving up slowly, it could be 1 million, it could be 500,000, it could be more than that.
Totally.
We're all in the same boat.
Right. And the principles are the same, right?
Yeah,
Aren't they?
Yeah,
right?
They are. Yeah.
You can't be a dictator. You got to be a leader, right?
You
can't be a tradesperson. You were on the tools. I remember you were freaking amazing at doing your trade, but you can't be a tradie anymore. We had to get you to have the mindset of a champion CEO, to think like the leader, right? Yeah, but hey, I know how to do quotes. I know you do. I know how to answer the phone. I know you do. I know how to install the installation. I know you do. But Gaetan, that's not where your value is, and that's not where your team needs you. And you're like, what? And it's just one person at a time, right? I mean, from Ariane to the next person, it doesn't, like, we didn't just go and.
Oh no! It took at least time.
In the right order.
In the right order. Yeah,
that's the right order, right? So, I mean, people have been asking, how the heck, and I'm just going to sort of bring this together, is like, how the heck did you go from 2 million to 2.8? How did you make all that profit, and not even have to increase your team size? Well, I'm just gonna preface this. It's not one answer, right? You systemize your quoting, right?
Right.
True?
That's true.
You hired the right people and found the right people, and people say, "Oh, there's nobody out there that's good." Is that true?
Well, there is people.
Yeah, if you have the right hiring process,
Yeah.
right? If you know how to track them.
The right the way you train them. I mean, everyone could be trained, but
I love it.
it's the way you show it to them, though.
Right. So now we have a whole training process, right?
That's right.
Right. So, and when you look at people saying that there's no good clients out there, that people aren't willing to pay your value. I mean, tell us a little bit, just as we start wrapping up, about the people now that the Class A clients, even competitors of the Class A clients, are being sent to you. Tell us about that.
Well, oh boy, I don't know how far should I go, but I'll start with started with some price increase from our suppliers. I mean, don't take me wrong, but that's one thing I used to be so afraid of when my supplier was saying, Gaetan, we're announcing an increase. Oh my God, that was like a slap on the face. That was saying, are you crazy? And I was all saying things like what our customers were saying. You can't do that. I mean, no, I'm going to lose customers. You want to, everything was in that category, and it was not seen respectful. I didn't see it respectful. I didn't see like it was the plan of action that we should do. And I was working with my suppliers to do anything. What can we do to avoid that increase? Yep. And they were helping me, but I didn't see it that way. Like it was helping because the price increase was like, we were negotiating, but it was still there.
So can you imagine like that big aha moment and it took a while where I was like, Gaetan, we have to use this to our advantage.
Yeah.
We have to approach these guys right away. And you were like, I remember you just going like, so tell us that aha moment when you first had that meeting with the client. I mean, we had to lay out the agenda and have the strategy to approach it. But what was the big, like, holy shit, coach moment where you're like, you won't believe what the customer said to me?
Yeah. Well,
you remember that?
Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday. After laying out a strategic plan, I took action to go and see customers with a price list. And of course, all the letters from the manufacturers to prove that there was an increase. I went to see them the moment it has been sent. I didn't wait. Because in the past I was waiting and waiting, see what.
That's what you were taught, though. That's what everybody in the whole industry was telling you, right? They were giving you advice. Oh man, this is what you got to do, and you're going to lose customers.
Yeah. Okay? So that being said, I went to the project managers or the owners of our customers, make an appointment, and that was the moment. I was shaking like crazy. Oh my God. But it's a good thing that we work together, Andrew, because we work on the plan that worked successfully. We sat together. I presented the price increase and couldn't guarantee it. That was the main thing, because usually in the past we had an increase once per year. And now when our supplier says, the end of summer next year, we can't guarantee any pricing for the year.
So what happened in there? What was that aha moment where you got on the call with me and you're like, you won't believe what happened?
I said, yeah, I told you, Andrew, my suppliers, they're crazy. They're stupid. It's unbelievable. They cannot do this to me. I think they're.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the meeting that you had where you actually took our strategy and you came back and you go, Andrew, I remember you calling me.
Well, yeah. Okay. So going back to my customer and presenting that to them, they were looking at me and say, Gaetan, no, why is your competition doesn't even show us that? I said, well, I don't know. This is a fact. I'm telling you right now. And they're saying, we know it's a fact. Well, we know now that you told us, but they were just wondering how come those competition didn't even bother to make, like, to announce that.
Mm-hmm. And then your customer basically said, how can we
work together so we could, that I am not going to lose money and they're not going to lose money.
Right.
And we work together. And I thought that meeting, that 15-minute meeting, it lasts for an hour. I thought it was just a 15 minutes, and geez, it's like they didn't want to let me go. They were like offering me a coffee. We were just working on the plan.
Totally.
And it's wow. And I came that day.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I came that on the same day, and I don't remember if I text you to say if you have a minute to call me, and you did came right away, and I shared that to you, and I feel great. So
and then you did to the next one, and the next one, the next one. Next thing you know, just jumping forward as we wrap this up is, now your pricing job, you're landing jobs with them. You're not even the lowest. As a matter of fact, you've got some clients, and it's becoming more and more where they're not even given an opportunity to some of the competition. Is that true?
That's true. They don't, because
they don't trust them.
That's it. That's the word I was trying to find, the trust. Because at least they know when I have an increase, they know what's coming up. And
also, let's face it, it's gone beyond that, right? You've been able to, been able to bring in strategies that go beyond just this price increase to build stronger relationships with your clients, stronger relationships between your employees and your clients, stronger relationships between you and your whole company, right? Which at the end of the day, now you've become the prize. You're dominating your market. And you have more and more people coming to you, and the quality of your clients is going up and up. I mean, now your clients are communicating with you with forecasts that you didn't even know you could get out of them. And they're telling you, right? They're giving you, in some cases, 6 month to 1 year plans. If you're Gaetan, hey, and can you help us with this so we can sell more? I mean,
and at least I could predict now better forecasts of what's coming, because in the past we never knew how much forecasting they were coming, eh? And now at least that helped my business to say, oh my God, this year I'm going to be busy. Oh my God, this year, this is what this customer is going to give me. Holy shit. I mean,
did you ever think this was at all possible?
No, I didn't thought about that.
Did you ever think it was at all possible that you could delegate and systemize your quoting and be profitable and have an admin person and grow to where you've grown?
In the beginning, not 1 minute. No.
Right.
No.
So look, and here's the thing, starting to wrap this up, finishing it actually, is this, one of the things that, for those of you that are listening, if you're, part of the group, it'd be great to say hi to Gaetan. And thank him for all the sharing he's done on today's call. As far as those that are not part of the group, our contractor tips group, I'd highly suggest, you guys just can join in below to get insights like this from people like Gaetan, to know what the possibilities are, to know that you're not alone. As contractors, we all struggle, man. You were never given, even having a father that's in business for the amount of years that you guys have been in business, it doesn't mean that it was done, and it wasn't with the wrong intention. But if you don't have the right insights to take a step back, to know how to quote profitably every time, to know how to hire and find the right staff, to know how to dominate your market with your clients, that actually exists out there. Correct, Gaetan? You thought you were programmed by everybody, along with fellow contractors. There's no good customers out there. There's no good people out there. Now, it's not true, right?
It's not true, no.
It's not true, right? And also, yes, you increase your prices by from 2 million to 2.8. But in the beginning, our last focus for the good first 3 months was not actually more sales. It was actually how to get more profits with less sales.
Yeah. And it's better that way, honestly, because less stress, right? I mean, you don't need to deal with, I'm throwing a number here, not 20 customers, 15 customers with excellent profits.
Exactly.
Hey, that's 5 less for stress.
Absolutely. And they're probably giving you back, 10x the amount of profits for a lot less effort. Okay. So, you had a calibration call with us. What would be your last words of wisdom to somebody listening in on this?
Don't wait, take action, look above the line.
Right. And again, I think a lot of people might be listening and going like, what was this calibration call all about? We had a call for about 15, 20 minutes, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
And really, we identified where, what was working, what wasn't working. We identified, strategies around specific to you and where you were at with the contractor's ladder of success, right? That there's actually different levels.
Yep.
Okay, and you moved way up there, which is great. I guess finally is this, like, how excited are you about your future?
Can't wait. Can't wait to go to the next level.
That's awesome, man. So 2019 and beyond is going to kick ass, right?
Oh, it's more than kick ass.
I love it, man. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much, my friend. From everybody, it's awesome. The journey has just begun, and you've really become a champion CEO, my friend. It's awesome. Your dad's proud of you. Family's proud of you. We're proud of you. I know, you're proud of yourself. So let's just keep things moving in the right direction. We'll see you on the flip.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, man. Bye.